this up. Our next speaker is Rose Broome, who's the CEO and founder of Hand Up. She's here today because poverty doesn't have a silver bullet. Even Hand Up can't solve everything. What's interesting is Hand Up has gone from a native iOS app at launch to now distributing analog cards that I encourage you all to learn more about. So that you as a human can go out and hand something to another human and see them for real, and then they can go redeem that for 25 bucks. I keep one in my back pocket at all times, out of my wallet, so when people ask for it, I don't have to pull out my wallet. And it's a very amazing thing, and people are shocked when you hand them $25. And so, Hand Up's amazing, but Rose is here to say, we need to change the game, we need to think bigger, we need to get crazy. Thank you, Rose.
So all of you have seen graphics like this showing wealth inequality in the US. So in this graphic, you can see that 1% of the US population owns about 40% of the wealth. And this is only going to get worse. We're seeing a lot of middle-class jobs going away, and a lot of this is partly because of automation and advanced manufacturing and other technologies that are changing the nature of work. It's sort of like a robot revolution. And one example of this is self-driving cars, which are going to save lives and be a lot safer, but they're going to put millions of taxi and truck drivers out of work. And my question is, what are we going to do about this? And the answer is not throw our hands up in the air and say, let them eat cake. We need to start thinking really big about poverty and about what we're going to do about poverty as the whole nature of our economy and our work systems change. So one of the biggest thinkers on poverty that I know is Martin Luther King. And shortly before he died, he said, the solution to poverty is to abolish it directly through a widely discussed measure called the guaranteed income. The guaranteed income is another word for the basic income, which is a simple, kind of obvious, and very crazy idea that basically says we should give people money whether or not they work. Kind of crazy, right? And so, put another way by economics writer John Aziz, the basic income is taxing the robot owners to support the people they put out of work. And I think this is a much more lovable version of the robot revolution that I would like to see. The basic income has actually been tested. It was tested in the US in the 70s, it was tested in India, it was tested in Africa, and in a place called Manitoba, which according to Google is this really big place in Canada. Those of you who didn't know that. It's also being talked about in a lot of other countries. Switzerland is actually going to vote in 2016 on whether or not they should institute a national basic income. If you haven't heard about it, you will soon, because the basic income has been all over the press, and not just places like TED and CNN, but also on Fox News. And here we have venture capitalist Albert Wenger giving a talk about why he thinks the basic income is an idea that we should all consider. Could it actually happen in the US? It was tested in the US, but the truth is it probably couldn't happen anytime soon. But there's something really interesting about the basic income that it has going for it. And that is that the basic income has some bipartisan support. So liberals like the basic income because it helps promote equality. So it gives everybody a better chance of making it regardless of what their background is, and it gives everybody a secure social safety net underneath their feet. Some liberal voices against the basic income worry that it would take funds away from specific in-kind programs like housing, medical, and education programs, and that there might be some problems caused by that. On the conservative side, this is a Nobel Prize-winning conservative economist Milton Friedman, who was in support of the basic income as he formed it as the negative income tax, which was tested in the US in the 70s. So if you don't have a job, you would get the full amount. It tapers off as you start working, and then as you make higher wages, you get taxed. What conservatives worry about, though, is that it might make people lazy. But that might not be such a big concern with the robot revolution coming and all anyway, right? So why do I care about this? You guys know I founded Hand Up, and I spend my time thinking about poverty and trying to think big about poverty and about new solutions to poverty. And so, like Peter told you, with HandUp, you can use our site, handup.org, to donate directly to an individual person experiencing poverty for what they might need, housing, medical expenses, and other things. Well, what we've also seen is that there's not a lot of really big thinking going on out there in the way that people are thinking really big about artificial intelligence and self-driving cars. So this is the future. You may or may not recognize it. And this future is not only high tech, but it's also free from poverty. And we need to start thinking as big about poverty as we do about self-driving cars and automation. I think the basic income is one such big idea, and we need to start taking these ideas seriously if we're going to create the kind of society that we all want to live in.